You ever see a new app and wonder, how did that even happen? How did a cool idea become this thing I'm using on my phone? Well, it's definitely not magic. It's actually a super interesting, structured journey. And today, we're going to be your tour guide on that exact journey, the IT Project Lifecycle.
So that's the big question, right? How do you get from a simple what-if moment to a real powerful piece of software that people can actually use? The answer is all in the process. A roadmap that takes a team from that first little spark of an idea all the way to a finished product and even beyond. And that roadmap? Well, it has a name, the Project Lifecycle. The best way to think about it is like a master map for an expedition. It's got a series of clear phases that every project goes through, from the very beginning to the very end. This is the structure that keeps everything on track and turns a great idea into a real thing.
So let's break this map down. It's basically a 6-stage roadmap, and each one of these stages is like a critical milestone on the path to getting things done right.
Okay, here's the whole trip laid out for us. It all kicks off with that big idea and initiation and planning. Then you get into the real heavy lifting with development and testing. And finally, you bring it all to life with implementation and, super importantly, long-term support. Let's dig into that first stop.
So, our first stop is initiation. This is ground zero. It's the moment you define the entire quest. You're asking the big questions here. Why are we even doing this? The team has to identify a real need, justify why this project is the answer, and get that official green light to really start the adventure.
Okay, next up is planning. And if initiation was about deciding where we're going, planning is all about drawing the map, like in meticulous detail. This is where the team hammers out the technical specs, designs the system architecture, and creates a super detailed action plan, with budgets, timelines, the whole shebang. You've got to chart out every little detail before you move on.
And that brings us to development. This is really the heart of the journey. It's the construction phase. You've got coders writing code, designers building interfaces. This is where the software is literally built from scratch. And because of that, it's pretty much always the most resource-heavy part of the project, mostly because it takes a ton of hours from some very smart, very skilled people.
Once the thing is built, it's time for testing. You can think of this like the final inspection before a grand opening. The team gets in there and just rigorously checks everything. They're hunting for bugs, testing out all the features, and doing whatever it takes to make sure a high-quality, reliable product is ready for the real world.
After all that testing, we get to implementation. This is it, the go-live moment. The brand new software gets deployed and plugged into all the existing systems. And, this can be a pretty tricky process. You're often dealing with migrating data and training users, all to make sure the transition is as smooth as possible.
But here's the thing. The journey does not end at launch. Not even close. The final stage is support and maintenance. This is the long-haul phase, all about keeping the system running perfectly. We're talking about rolling out updates, fixing any new bugs that pop up, and just making sure users have what they need long after the project is technically done.
Now, having a map is one thing, but how you travel that map is a whole other story, right? You could take a train that's on a fixed, predictable track. Or you could hop in an all-terrain vehicle that can adapt to whatever the landscape throws at you. In the world of project management, these are your methodologies. The two big ones are waterfall and agile.
So what's the real difference here? Well, it all comes down to their core philosophy. Waterfall is this really strict, step-by-step journey. You have to completely finish one phase, like planning, before you can even think about starting the next one. Agile, on the other hand, is all about being flexible. The project grows and evolves in these short, fast cycles, which lets the team change things up as they go.
With the waterfall model, the process is super linear. I mean, everything is defined and planned out in painstaking detail right from the very beginning. It's actually great for projects where the requirements are crystal clear and they're not going to change. The team just follows that strict plan, and get this, testing only happens after all the development is totally finished.
Now, let's just flip that on its head and look at Agile. Instead of some massive plan up front, you start with a general vision. The work gets done in these short bursts called sprints. And at the end of every single sprint, a small piece of the software is both developed and tested. This approach is absolutely brilliant for projects where you think things might change, because it's built for constant feedback and adapting on the fly. Of course, no big journey like this happens for free. It needs fuel, right? And for an IT project, that fuel is the budget. Honestly, understanding the economics of it all is just as critical as knowing the technical roadmap. To make this real, let's look at the numbers from a sample project to build some business management software.
The total estimated cost, just to get from that initial idea to the first 6 months of support, comes out to $619,000. So yeah, we're talking about a pretty serious investment.
So where does all that money go? This chart breaks it all down for us. Development, no surprise, is the biggest expense by far at almost $250,000. But look at that, support and maintenance is the second biggest cost. That just goes to show you that the project's financial life goes on long, long after its launch day.
Okay, we've gone over the map, we've talked about the different ways to travel, and we've looked at the fuel it takes to get there. Now, let's bring it all home and figure out what really makes a project succeed.
And you know, if there's one key thing to take away from all this, it's this quote right here. Choosing the right approach, whether that's the predictability of waterfall or the flexibility of agile, is the most important decision you'll make. It's what makes sure you're using your time, your money, and your people in the best way possible, and that is absolutely critical for success.
So there you have it. You've seen the map and you know the different ways to travel. The only real question left is, when it comes to your next brilliant idea, what kind of journey is it going to take?